Federal and state governments are working now to curb the spread of a South American livestock parasite recently pushing its way as far as northern Mexico. 13's Brent Palmer learned today the impact it could have on one of Kansas's most important exports.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is working to stem the tide of New World screwworms making its way up through the hemisphere through a program that releases sterilized flies into the breeding pool. If the worms were to reach the United States, they could hamper the nation's agricultural industry.
We recognize that it's going to be a huge economic impact to the livestock industry if we get it in the United States, both from a disease impact and the impact that it has on individual animals, but also the fact that it does create some trade restrictions.
Long-term efforts saw the screwworm mostly pushed to South America, but the species has recently trended northward.
We've started to see the progression of that fly move back to the north, and now is in Mexico, which it hasn't been for many, many years. And so we're seeing the impending concern of it moving back into the United States.
The pest targets warm-blooded animals, cattle being the most common victim.
Cattle is the primary species that is being involved, but a lot of that is based on the fact that the number of cattle that is in the region. Again, the cattle tend to be more susceptible because of the environmental exposure that they have.
Federal authorities temporarily closed the southern border to livestock trade as a precaution, and local governments are preparing for the worst.
Kansas is working with state animal health officials across the region in an effort to try to make sure that our response efforts are in place, and that we recognize what we're going to do and try to develop some sort of a regionalization approach if and when it does get to the United States.
The Kansas Department of Agriculture says any suspected cases should be reported immediately.
It is a reportable disease specifically in Kansas, and so we would ask that if they suspect that they contact our office and either through their veterinarian or directly to us. We will help guide them through the process there. We will do the investigation to either confirm or not confirm that disease aspect there.
K-State researchers tell me infections are unlikely to appear in Kansas unless an infected animal were to enter the U.S. If you do come across a possible case, you can contact the Ag Department at this number.
And we'll have that on WIBW.com for you as well.